Hello everyone, Irvin here. In today's demonstration, I'll walk you through how to deploy a basic SIEM setup, essentially, a honeypot, using Microsoft Azure, a powerful cloud-based platform. We'll simulate an attack surface and capture the threat intelligence using Microsoft Sentinel. So let's jump right into the setup. We'll begin by creating a resource group. This will act as the container for all our resources. Now we will go ahead and create a resource group. I'll name it NW Group. Just click Next and then Create. Once it's deployed, we can move forward and set up our virtual network. Now, let's create a virtual network. Search for Virtual Network. Then click Create and click on the previously created resource group. Next, name your virtual network. Here I have named it VNet. Now click Next, and then Create. After deployment, we'll proceed to launch our virtual machine. This is what provides our VM with internet access. Think of it as the equivalent of a router for our cloud infrastructure. Now search for virtual machine, click on Create. Choose your subscription and the appropriate resource group, then assign a name to your virtual machine. Avoid naming it something obvious like Honeypot, as that could alert potential attackers and discourage them from engaging with the system. Choose a region close to your location. Select an image. I'll use a Windows image for this demo. Now, set a username and password. These credentials will be needed shortly. Under the Networking tab, choose the virtual network you just created. Disable boot diagnostics, leave the rest of the settings as is, and click Create. Once all resources are deployed, go to the resource group. You'll notice instances like the VM, virtual network, and firewall rules have been created. Click on the Network Security group. Locate and delete the default RDP rule. Now create a new inbound rule. Keep everything default but change the destination port to star. This exposes the VM to all ports, simulating a vulnerable machine for attack analysis. Ignore the warning, as this is intentional for our honeypot. With our virtual machine now set up as the attack surface, the next step is to launch remote desktop and log in using the credentials you configured during the VM setup. If you're on Windows, use the built-in remote desktop connection. On Mac, download Microsoft Remote Desktop from the App Store. Open the app and click on Add PC and enter the VM's public IP, and use the credentials you set earlier. Once connected, wait a moment, it might take a bit to load. After logging in, go to Firewall Settings and turn off the firewall. This step is critical. We want the VM to remain exposed for potential attacker activity. Exit the VM. Return to your local terminal, and ping the VM using its public IP. If you receive replies, your VM is live on the Internet. If not, revisit the firewall and check if you have turned them off correctly or NSG settings in Azure. Once the setup is complete, the next step is to create a Log Analytics Workspace in Azure. This is where logs, such as failed login attempts and other activity generated by potential attacks, will be collected and stored. Search for Log Analytics Workspace in the Azure portal, and create it just like you did with the previous resources. After it's deployed, open a new tab and search for Microsoft Sentinel. This will serve as the SIEM platform for monitoring and analyzing the collected data. Wait for the workspace to finish deploying. Then go to Microsoft Sentinel. Click Create. And select the Log Analytics Workspace you just created. If it doesn't show up immediately, simply click Refresh, and you'll be good to go. After deployment, navigate to the Content Hub in Microsoft Sentinel and search for Windows Security Events. Install the solution and wait for the installation to complete. Once it's installed, click on Manage. Then select Windows Security Events via AMA. This setup allows for more detailed data collection and easier configuration through data collection rules, DCRs. Next, go to the connector page. Create a new data collection rule. And once everything is configured, simply click Review and Create to finalize the setup. Now, switch back to the tab with the Log Analytics Workspace we created earlier and click on Logs. This is where all the activity logs will appear, as our virtual machine is now exposed to potential attackers. Next, return to the tab with your virtual machine. Navigate to Settings. And click on Extensions plus Applications. Here, you'll see the data collection rule we created earlier. Wait until its status changes from transitioning to provisioning succeeded. This indicates that the configuration has been successfully applied. This SIEM solution uses KQL, which is quite similar to SQL but is designed specifically for querying large volumes of read-only log data. To begin, we'll enter a simple query. Security event. This lets us check if any logs have been generated. At the moment, there are no entries, which simply means our virtual machine hasn't been discovered by any attackers yet. There's no need to worry, this is expected. It can take an hour or two, depending on external activity. We'll wait a while and check back later for any updates. It's been a few hours. You'll notice that logs have started to populate, around 2,500 entries in this case. Now it's time to filter the data based on what we need. We'll start with the following query. Security event. Where event ID 4625. If you're new to KQL or log analysis, event ID 4625 indicates a failed login attempt. Similarly, event ID 4624 is for successful login. Next, we'll use the project operator to display only the relevant columns and remove the unnecessary ones. Project time generated, account name, IP address, failure reason. This helps us focus on critical information. Once we have the filtered data, we can identify the source IP addresses of the attack attempts. Simply copy those IPs and use an IP lookup website to investigate where the attacks originated. And that brings us to the end of this demonstration. If you found it helpful or informative, don't forget to like, share, and support the content. Thank you for watching, and take care.